TV, yes, the global COVID-19 pandemic is still rearing its ugly head. 41.5 million plus positive cases of the coronavirus have been actually confirmed on the global stage. The Americans are taking the lion's share with 8.4 million plus cases, followed by India with 7.7 million plus positive cases, followed by another country, Brazil, with 5.3 million plus cases of the coronavirus, followed by another country right there, Russia, 1.4 million, yes. Alexei Navalny poisoning led to so many protests that exacerbated the spread of COVID-19 within that country. And we're also seeing Argentina coming into the fifth place with 1,050,000 plus positive cases of the coronavirus in that regard. So we are veering into another conversation. Last month, after roughly 6 months, yes, select movie theaters in Kenya served confectionery, yes, dimmed the lights and started screening. The show had to go on, even amid a pandemic. But don't fret, cinemas that were opening up to the public put up safety measures in place and passed an inspection. But in Uganda, there is no conversation on reopening. And even the cinemas in the malls are still closed while the malls are open. How did that come about? Who is thinking of the COVID-19 standard operating procedures for the arts? And to speak to us about this and more, we have Andrew Kagua, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor, and Innocent Kawoya, the CEO of High People Music Awards, who is also standing for Lord Mayor Kampala under the theme of promoting arts and a digital city. Gentlemen, welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you, Remy.
Thank you very much.
All right, first of all, Andrew, you cover the arts. What is out there? How have the countries handled arts during this coronavirus pandemic?
Okay, one of the things I need to say first is Corona is still with us.
Indeed.
And whatever I'm going to say should not be misunderstood. But you see, very many countries have found ways of navigating this. At least I know in the US, there are some states that are open and they are having drive-in concerts. Like you come in your car, you do not get out of your car, and the artist is on stage entertaining you. So you're socially distanced, you're actually enjoying this show, but you're in your cars.
Literally how they used to do it with the movies.
Yes.
You go into, you stay in your car, you watch a movie in your car.
Yes. So I look at it as one of the ways that we could adopt, though many people will argue that, yes, of course, many Ugandans that go to concerts do not have cars.
And that's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact, but that's something we can start navigating after we have a way we can at least have concerts. And then there are things, for example, one of the things I hate very much is that a Ugandan film, when a Ugandan film has to show or it has to screen anywhere, the producer pays a certain amount of fee. The fee is actually 150,000 to the Uganda Film Classification Board. That's under the Media Council, if I'm not mistaken. And you're looking at each and every movie we produce in Uganda literally every year, paying this amount. In such a time, those people are supposed to come out and look out for the industry, because their work is basically to promote the culture of cinema going. Now that we can't go to cinemas, this could be the very best time for them to say, okay, what exactly do we do? In Kenya, I know the Film Classification Board there decided to start these drive-in cinemas, and they've at least premiered a film using a drive-in cinema. And in Uganda, we do not know anything that's coming from the film classification. And okay, at least we know their bosses, who are like QCC, try to gag the arts. At least for that we know. But it's very sad. And then it's sadder that churches are open, yet some churches are happening in places that also house arts. So you have some churches that are happening in cinema halls. Churches can happen, people can go and pray from there, but people
you can't come to watch a movie.
You can't come in to watch a movie for 2 hours, yet people can be in there and pray for about 3 hours.
And that's why we are saying some of these children who are going back to school might never make it, because we have parents in the arts who are not working since March. Where will they get the school fees and so forth?
Like it's not even just not working. Like, okay, they were home when everyone was home, but then when people started coming back to work,
stayed back home.
They stayed back home, and we do not even have that leadership. For me, that's one of the things that hurts me very much, that we do not have the leadership to lobby for us. Like if salons...
We're not organized in the arts.
We are organized. We have the UNCC. It's supposed to do that, if you ask me. but they are not doing the job. You have the film classification, they collect money from filmmakers, but they are not doing that job. So for me, that's what hurts me very much, that we do not have people to lobby for the arts. At least Salons had that lady the president talked about, who apparently told him that, yeah, salons can open because it won't be harmful when someone is doing someone's hair from the back. Like,
so
we need
essentially,
those
arts
people to
are
lobby for
still
us.
closed because there is no one lobbying on your behalf.
Because the people that are supposed to be lobbying are sleeping.
The people who are supposed to be lobbying are sleeping. Innocent Kawaya, what do you make of that statement, and what do you take on government's handling of the arts at the National COVID-19 Task Force? The way they've handled people in the arts industry. What do you make of all this?
Remy, I'll start by, first of all, thank God we're here today. We are not dead.
Indeed.
Some very great men in the world have spoken. Yes, they are rich, but they have spoken to the fact that one of the most important things for us to have in this year is being alive, and we are. So we're thankful to God for that. But like you see me today standing for mayorship and having played a very major role in transforming the music industry for 15 years, it's because of partly what Andrew is talking about. We have no leadership. I mean, I come from a private sector, so I cannot be controlling the thoughts of every player in the music industry. How I wish I would. I would never wait for a second to make sure I advocate for them to have an equal playing field. But I mean, even when someone is given responsibility, Andrew talked about the movies. I paid money. I had my movie.
To be classified?
Yeah, to be classified. I didn't pay 150, I paid more money than that.
Oh.
So I paid money, and to have my movie Life of a Champion premiere at Acacia last year on the 1st of November. And when I paid the money, I never got any other value apart from the fact that I've been allowed to screen a movie that I've invested in thousands and thousands of dollars.
Do you know what happens actually in other places?
Yeah.
Like, they collect the money from local film players, and they collect money from international players that come to show films. So if you're showing Black Panther, it's supposed to pay a certain fee to be classified. And at the end of the time, that money is collected and reinvested back into the industry.
Yeah, I wanted to actually add evidence to the same, because I had the same occurrence. So when I had Life of a Champion in December, I had a Chinese movie to screen at Acacia. Still I had to pay. Like exactly what you're saying, because those are facts, are things that I witnessed. But I mean, it is painful that we were trying to exhibit some special art. That movie right now is the first fully made Ugandan movie locally here that is on Amazon. I didn't pay money to have it on Amazon. I had to only make sure I have the right craft. I have every kind of requirement technically to make sure it is there.
Picture quality and so forth.
Yeah, so, I mean, we need to have leadership that understands that when we are controlling or managing an institution or community, we're supposed to give them direction. We're supposed to make sure we do things before they actually make the noise. I mean, of course, it's very expensive to run some events today, unless if someone has a car, like Andrew was mentioning, it's been happening in America. Some people have been doing caging of performances, but I mean, if you are going to Chadondo, where you used to host 10,000 people, you'll host 1,000. Yeah, and the cost becomes a little bit high. Maybe those are thoughts we should be bringing on table. But in a general perspective, I think we are going to have to take over responsibility, no matter how private we are in our operation, to go ahead. I've been trying to talk to a number of stakeholders and a number of representatives of the government, including the Deputy Speaker, about our industry, and trying to see if we can have a way of working out something to see some things go. But on the other side of things, I know sometimes we are supposed to have another way of doing things, and it's things that I've been advocating for myself and high people for all the time. and that is the digitalization agenda. That maybe time has come for us to think alternatively about our industry, about our works. I'll tell you, Andrew, the top 20 musicians in East Africa together have about 3.5 billion views on their YouTube channels. Of course, 1 billion goes to one artist, 1.45 goes to Diamond Platnumz. I made that prediction 10 years ago, and he got the first billion in Africa, so I was excited. Because that 1 billion goes to one person, when I did a kind of look through into the figures of what would be money to the 20 of them, would be that at the least, they would have earned $3.6 million and an average of about $400,000, which is about 1.4 billion shillings, if only they took deliberate efforts to make sure they use digital rails to also promote their arts much more. Yes, we advocated for all of them to be there, and they're all there. Now the next thing is that, can they commercialize and make money? Yeah, I mean, an artist does not run as only the brand you see performing. They have managers, they have accountants, they have people who are doing fashion. All of them have children that are going to school. All of them might not afford to have their children go to school. But then the end point of all of this is partly the leadership that Andrew is talking about, and secondly, working with structures that help us have institutions operate even when we have such pandemics. I mean, the public schools in Kampala are not also affordable for the children that go and sell stuff on the streets. And how do we do this? We need to create a way of making sure either we create education insurance that is digitalized, so a parent can pay 1,000 shillings a week, and then they are sure their child will go to school. I mean,
study online.
Yeah, exactly. Not even just studying online, but making sure we secure their future and make sure we create some kind of context that caters for a child that is 2 years today and will be in school after 1 year.
Indeed.
I mean, we can't be waiting for accidents every time. Education is not accidental. It is an essential. No, it is unessential. So we can't be thinking of transformation by only thinking COVID is going to be here for the next 23 months. Just be sure. We might not die, but some will. But when they do, of course, we shall say rest in peace. But what happens to the children? What happens to the children that are going to go back to school after COVID? What happens to the parents that lost their jobs in just 3 months of their companies being told stay home? I witnessed one of the companies, one of the big companies in Uganda here, telling their employees deliberately not to come to work. But it was an unintentional way of telling them we were chasing you. So they are all jobless. So what do? Yeah. So I mean, we need to rethink.
All right.
For our industry, it's a pity that we are losing a lot of time and resource, but we need to, going forward, create some kind of solid leadership that can think for all of us.
Innocent Kagua is standing for the Lord Mayor Kampala under the theme of promoting the arts within the digitalized city of Kampala. Well, there you have it. Innocent Kagua, thank you very much. You also do have Andrew Kagua, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor. Well, Innocent mentioned something that was really important. He said the main factor is that we are still alive. But then 98 people succumbed to the COVID-19 pandemic. Those who are still alive are still grappling with the economic consequences of the pandemic. They're like, okay, arts are still closed. What shall we do? So why isn't government taking this up to reopen?
To reopen the arts? I don't want to sound very mean, but the last time I looked at a manifesto of the president in right now, they talked about the entire art sector as entertainment. Like, the main reason I got that manifesto was to see what they are saying about art and culture. And I still remember he talked about it as entertainment. Basically, didn't talk about it. It was, I think, only Yamama members that had kind of talked about art as culture and as a creative economy. And I remember he had talked about ensuring that the National Theatre is not a place that they spread it around, they take it to other places, so each place has like a mini theatre or something. The good thing is that he's not standing, so this doesn't sound like a campaign for him. But what I'm trying to say is our leadership, leave alone the arts leadership, now I'm talking about the country's leadership, does not really understand how art operates. And when they are thinking about things that need to reopen, they are looking at art as entertainment. They are looking at art that when we are reopening this, we are reopening it for people to go and have fun.
Okay, for people to go and get entertained, not people who are making a living using those entertainment sports.
Yes.
I see that.
They are not looking at this as an economy, and they do not even understand how this operates or how people actually make money out of it, or how they can help people make money out of it.
Help them understand how the arts industry operates, because they are watching.
Okay, some of the things, like if I'm to even just talk about the film industry, like I usually tell people I hate leaving the cinema when the film has ended. Like I want to see all the credits, because when you see all the credits, each and every person after the actors, each and every person you're looking at is an employee that got employed because this film was made. When it comes to big budget films, even if they're just Ugandan films, you're looking at more than 30 people. 30 people that got a job to probably do makeup, another one got a job to cook food on that set, maybe another one is doing costumes, but all these people are making a living because this one film is being made. So when you empower this industry and say this industry can make about 10 good films, I say 31 movies, if we can make 10, you can multiply
that's
30
like 300.
That's like 300 people getting jobs.
Yeah.
And that's the process of making it. There is a process of promoting it. Even if it's an artist, like I usually ask people, do you know how many people get employed when Chameleon decides to have a concert, say at Shadondo? Like there is a guy who is going to come and sell things. There's a guy who's going to make a banner. Someone will make posters. There will be a graphic designer. Like it's an ecosystem, but it's so hard for the people that are leading us to see things in this way.
They're just focusing on the end person, which is the viewer or the customer.
The viewer or the customer.
Probably not even the viewer or the customer, but rather the artist that maybe one time goes and makes noise against the policies. I mean, you're focusing on someone who on his head are 30 families that are supposed to have food every day. They're supposed to pay for health care. They're supposed to pay, I mean, for a lot of things. And then whenever they do consume, they also pay tax for some reason or another. I mean, it's a win-win situation for us to make sure that we deliberately think about every single sector. I mean, we always talk about foreign direct investment as a country. And one of the easiest ways of doing this is promoting a creative arts ecosystem that empowers very many other people. There is no way you're going to have tourism work maximally without making sure creative arts is. Nigeria in 10 years made $5 billion out of the creative arts industry. That is from 2007 and 2017. Uganda in the same period of time made $50 million. Yeah. A $50 million and a $5 billion is a very, very big discrepancy. It's very, very big.
Indeed.
And I mean, we are saying we are competing with the same industry. We all live in Africa. We are black. I mean, we need to rethink these things and see how we use our art.
Now, Innocent Kawe, do you believe the arts industry is being, ignored by the government simply because you have some artists within the arts industry who are using music to send political messages? So government is adamant to let the arts reopen because some artists who are already in politics might use these platforms to disseminate political messages.
Well, I'll tell you, yes.
We won't shy away. Robert Chagulanyi is a musician.
No, I'll tell you, I was going to Robert Chagulanyi. I'll tell you, I'm not shy to say I played a role in the success of Bobby Wine as a musician. I would not say that because when I met him 20 years ago, And when we did whatever we did to make sure he's helped to be a better musician, I'm happy. And he has personal aspirations that shouldn't be scaring anyone.
So is there a fear that these artists might use these
No,
platforms
I'm
to
going
disseminate
there.
political messages?
I'm going there. When you have to create a level playing field, some of the things you need to understand is that creative arts plays a role in every aspect of politics, for example. You cannot ignore it. Go to America. It's the musicians that are making headlines. Jay-Z and all the others are the ones that are now helping Trump get in position, for example. How about if we make use of the ecosystem rather than fight it?
Suffocate.
Yeah. How about if we say the musicians, what are their thoughts? How about if we engage them? I've told my friends that work with government many times. Some are ministers, some are members of parliament, others are local leaders. I've told them, like, look here, we understand, I personally understand the industry to depth. I know those musicians you talk about to the last detail that you can never know. How about if you engage us and we see how we can mutually work together and everyone benefits? I mean, if they're talking about politics and they want to stand, should I stop them? I mean, someone wants to be an MP, someone wants to be something else. Should I say you're a musician, you shouldn't be? Yeah. But in the end, I am making something happen in a very funny way that I am halting the performance of a musician to make sure 30 families don't make money, they don't have food. Like Andrew was saying, I had one of those movies that you could call big budget, and I was employing 40 people for 9 months working with us in Kampala. Yeah? But when we were done with Kampala, I thought we were going to take 2 months editing the movie and we would be done. It took us 8 months to finish the movie editing. It took us 45 days to do post-production, color grading, subtitles, sound editing. I remember Adnan spending time every other time editing sound. And even when he was doing sound, there were other 5 people working on sound.
He works with the team.
You get my point. So in the end, we need to rethink about the capacity, the nation-building capacity of the creative industry. And rather not see it as only a platform of making noise. Yes, the noise is there.
Truth is, when you have a country that has an unemployment problem among the youth, creative arts are usually your way out. Option. Because, like he says, the creative industry touches on anything. I usually simplify it by saying art is the way of life. Like whether you're doing what, somehow the creative part of it will creep in. Like we in the newsroom, but I usually feel like we, at some point, we are not just journalists, we are being writers. Indeed. Even when it comes to delivering news.
Writers,
like
deep thinkers,
yes,
so
there is some art to it. So art is the way of life. You cannot stop art. When you promote art, you're giving many youths a chance to create self-employment. Because the country can never have enough musicians. The country can never have enough movies. Like even if you're releasing 100 movies every day, there are people that will watch them.
Indeed.
And it's also very true that anywhere we go in the world, the private sector plays the biggest role of creating employment. In East Africa alone, we have about 16 million small and medium-sized companies that are operating. And these companies, if they are 16 million, then the rough estimate is that they're employing 32 million people. Yeah, and that is non-government. When you look at the rates of new employment opportunities that are created by government every year, the rates are about 47,000 every year. Someone who knows about the graduates that come out every year can do a computation. I mean, the opportunities that are created by government cannot be enough for even employing the people that graduate.
To absorb all of them.
Exactly. So how do we leverage an industry that has actually shown all signs of being very wonderful and being very economically viable for the country? How do we regulate it better, make sure we provide a platform that allows whoever there is in the creative and artist industry perform their job as guided by the law and make sure they add more value to the country by 1, employing, by 2, promoting foreign direct investment, by 3, promoting tourism of the country, because it's a national agenda. Uganda has been promoting itself in many places for many years. So why don't we leverage what we already have and make sure we shout out louder?
All right, let me also bring in Mr. Andrew Kagua. Let's bring in the issue of digitization of the arts. Yes, the COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc. You have artists who are no longer working, and some are adamant to go online, saying, well, the internet proliferation in Uganda is low. We have few subscribers on the internet. Why should I go online? I'm sure sooner or later the government shall reopen. But what if they don't reopen the arts? Is digitization of the arts the future?
You actually understand digitization more than I do.
I'm going to go back to him.
But I remember there was a time we were here, and when this whole COVID situation was almost getting there, and I said, if there is one thing we are going to need, okay, truth is we need artists. At the moment, there was that time when everyone could kind of join, whether they knew what to do or not. They could somehow find their way into it. But what COVID did is that it took it took the performances online, which meant that you had to give people something quite different. Because when you're on stage, like I usually say, at times you'll be on stage, people will be on stage, and the audience is probably high, or like something is happening and everything seems so good. So
they'll like this song, they'll tell you repeat this song,
they'll
but
tell you
online
repeat.
it's impossible.
When you're online, like I'm at home,
Yes.
I'm watching you, probably I'm watching you in the morning because I missed the live show, and I've paid money, because for platforms like Feza, you actually pay. You can pay to watch the show that happened yesterday, but you watch it in your free time. So I'll be watching you when I'm very, very sober, and I will see
all the
when you're not doing well, when you're not singing, when you're flatting. Like, I'll get to notice all these things, because I'm in this state of mind when I'm watching you. So truth is, I like the fact that some artists have dared. And one of the things that has happened because artists have dared is people have improved. I liked this girl released the live album, Spice Diana. And when you listen to it, it's not the Spice Diana we saw perform in January when she had a concert. So I'm liking where this is going. Most people have seen the importance of releasing albums, even if they are not going to sell physical copies, but have some presence on all these platforms.
But we also need to check the pessimism coming in from the same artists. Before they get onto these online platforms, the same artists are saying, but there are few people online, that this and that, we are not reaching more people. Like, there's pessimism from the same artists. And don't you think loopholes just like the OTT, over-the-top tax, makes it very, very difficult for digitization of the arts to take off?
It's very true, but when you're going online, one of the things you're thinking about is you're pushing beyond this country. Like, you're not going to let OTT, which is, by the way, very unjust, you're not going to let OTT derail you from at least attracting someone that's not in Uganda.
But we have to agree that it is a setback.
Yes, it's a very big setback. It's one of the reasons, like, when, like, I know my friends, like, usually want talking about comparing, okay, they'll be like, okay, you see, Diamond has not been in the industry for this long, but look at his numbers. And then I'm thinking, like, yes, he has those numbers, but think about the fact that...
Are you sure Diamond hasn't been in the industry for too long? I remember seeing this guy in 2004. No. Skinny, but...
okay, I don't know.
He was around.
But I saw him in, like, 2008. So.
No, he was around 2004, 5. Very skinny. But then he was doing music. I don't know. He's been around for a long time. Innocent Kawoya, you're vying for the Lord Mayorship position for Kampala under the theme Promoting Arts and a Digital City. How do you plan to bring that about?
Well, digitizing Kampala Agenda starts, I'll first go back a little bit. I've been serving as a vice president for Uganda Talent Managers Association. And about 3 weeks ago, I told the managers to sober up. They want to operate like the artists. They want to wake up at 11. They want to go and sleep in bars and all that. I'm only trying to recap to what Andrew was talking about. I mean, they need to formalize and operate like real businessmen. But coming back to my digitization agenda, I mean, it is no offense to say that I'm probably the most authentic and the most knowledgeable person about digitizing systems, especially for the fact that I have led the digital revolution of the creative arts industry,
Fintech.
yeah, the fintech world, financial inclusion, inclusive finance, and all that kind of stuff, and specifically even in the women domain.
Indeed.
I mean, I have the expertise, I have the right connection, and I've been updated by global players to understand where the world is going as far as digitization is.
So why did you
going,
choose
yeah?
this theme? Promoting the arts and a digital city.
Well, promoting arts comes in later. The agenda is a digitization. Why? Because every single other sector and every single other requirement is equally important, just like the digitization agenda. But what I come in with is I come with the most important plug that creates a connected ecosystem, one that is interoperable. I mean, make sure that we have a real connection of our city by what it is, by every single resident of the city, by every single small, medium size and big business by what they are, what they provide, and by every single person by what their profession is and what their needs are. That's going to be my starting point. I mean, before we make sure we profile at least 500,000 businesses, I would never be happy staying in Kampala going forward. Why? There are many opportunities that are in Kampala, but no one knows where to find them. I mean, I am looking for Andrew. I don't know he's a specialist in arts, and I don't even know how to find him because no one is taking the initiative to profile Andrew and me that needs the service. Someone needs an expert in fintech, but they have to walk door to door. I mean, you're talking about technology. So my first input is to make sure that I leverage my expertise to create that plug-in and create that interoperability to make sure education benefits from technology, healthcare is digitized, and someone can have schemes like affordable insurance schemes for mothers. Yeah, someone is expecting a child. Instead of them having to pay 40,000 at once, let them pay 2,000 shillings every month for 9 months until their day of giving birth. Someone has to do a payment of school fees. Instead of them having to pay 80,000 shillings at once, let's allow them to pay every week because that's what they can afford. A trader has to pay trading license. They have a business whose capital is 60,000. Instead of them paying 20,000 shillings at once, let's create a payment solution that allows them to pay once every month so that they're able to pay the money for the whole year in bits that they can afford. So I am coming in to make sure if you're a border rider and you want to operate in Kampala, how do you benefit the city versus how you're supposed to benefit? Let us create an ecosystem that allows you to freely operate as legitimate, as certified. If you have no driving permit, let's create a way of making sure you get a driving permit as issued by the authority and the governing agencies of the government. The government will benefit because more will subscribe, and then these service providers will be able to have food, they'll be able to pay for healthcare, they'll be able to pay for education, infrastructure, drainage, and all that will be connected in the same way. So digitization actually is that agenda that I'll tell you everyone that is standing for leadership in Uganda should read from. Because there is no way you're going to talk about developing a country without talking about a very important concept of making sure you create a smart kind of connected environment. You know, people talk about digitization and the only thing they throw it to is internet. No, it is not. You were talking about digital migration of TV. That is digitization. The radios are on FM. They are running on frequency. That is digitization. Everyone that has a phone that receives mobile money is on a digital ecosystem. So how do we bring all of them together? It is factual that everyone in Kampala that has a business, that has capital that is more than 60,000, owns a phone. So how do we incorporate them into making sure they contribute to the growth of the city, and we help them have a better way of operating and earning a living?
Innocent Kagua is vying for the Lord Mayorship Kampala position under the theme promoting arts and a digital city. I also have Andrew Kagua, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor, and we are talking about the reasons why government is adamant to reopen the arts. But then, Andrew, how best can we promote besides digitization, how best can we promote the arts in this country?
There are many ways.
Go ahead.
There are many ways.
Break them down.
One, I think should start with making the environment
conducive for them to thrive?
Conducive for the artists to thrive. You remember in, was it July? Okay, there was that time when where we were talking about some regulations that were coming for the artists. Like at a time when artists grappling with everything COVID-19 did, it wasn't the right time, and it's not the right time to start talking about regulating. And of course, I would also say art doesn't need regulating if that regulating is not helping art. Like, artists need to be left alone to create. They need the freedom to create. But one of the best ways I think we can be promoting it, which UCC actually said they were going to do, I think we should be very, very serious about the 70%, that 70% content. And
being local.
They should, they shouldn't just talk about it. They should
enforce it.
They should try to enforce it. Because at the moment I do not know if there is any deliberation.
Andrew, what are you talking about?
Innocent.
Yes.
Go ahead, pitch it.
No, it's very amazing.
Yes.
Andrew had to mention that. Actually, I came thinking, should I talk about this? And I shouldn't I? Yeah.
You should.
Yeah, 70%. Are they words?
At the
Are
point, they seem to be words.
I mean, no. We need to get a little bit more serious in this country of ours. We've been known to be the Pearl of Africa. And for some reasons, we need to stand to that a name that we are called and at least do some things. In Nigeria, when you watch some platforms there, you'll find that it is just obvious that you're watching a Nigerian platform. Yeah. In Uganda, it is very obvious that you'll watch a local national platform. And it would be obvious that you are living in Uganda, in America.
I see.
Yeah. In Uganda, it is where every single person in the media that thinks they have time to talk about our art has a right to talk only about the negativity of our industry.
Indeed.
Yeah. I mean, Romeo, we've spent a lot of our time and money investing it in the industry. I've never made a coin from the music industry, but I never give up on it. High People has, yeah. But I feel so bad whenever I watch deliberately arranged TV shows that are organized to make sure everyone says the music industry is not moving anywhere. The creative arts industry is not going anywhere. And where are the managing directors of these platforms? Where are the strategic managers of these platforms that are supposed to make sure they strike a balance? I mean, the fans are enjoying the song, and then the journalist is saying it is bullshit. He's saying it doesn't make sense. So the 70% would be crazy and would be a very important thing that would happen if it ever happened, even if we only scale to 50% and make sure that that content is actually adapted and played as much as we can. And then create opportunities, not only to play the movies and the music, to profile the players, and also create a 50% budget for them from UCC in the same way. Yeah.
Considering the fact that we pay that money to them when we produce our movies, that money should find a way of coming back to us.
All right, gentlemen, before I let you go, the main question for this conversation, what are some of the SOPs that can be put in place to reopen the arts? This is the main question. Please, I'm starting with you, Andrew, then Innocent, then we wrap up.
Like I said, I think we should think about, one, I believe we cannot open up everything, but I believe we can open up some things. The same way churches are opened, and some of these churches happening in places where art also happens, we can follow those same SOPs. Like, people are going to wash, people are going to sanitize as they are getting in, and no air conditioners when people get in. I mean, there is a place like the National Theatre, it doesn't even use air conditioners. Like, you can just have the number, and then performances can somehow happen. Maybe it's the performance that you need to be worried about, because art can at times become a contact kind of practice.
And finally, Innocent Kagua, recommendations on how SOPs can be instituted?
I think even those players that are in the creative artist industry already know COVID exists. And there are use cases that have been practical and are making sense somewhere else. If we can do cages, if we can do drive-ins, but the most important thing is that our government and the regulators should start by making sure they pay attention to us, because we're not begging, for honesty's sake.
Indeed.
The industry is supposed to live.
To thrive, yes.
So they should give us ease and give us attention like any other. Yes, the churches are praising God. We also praise God for many other places. We should have the artists do something, maybe for 100 people.
Innocent Kagua is vying for the Lord Mayorship Kampala under the theme Promoting Arts and the Digital City. And also we did have Andrew Kagua, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor. Gentlemen, many thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right. And you also gave Golola a house. That is a good move as a manager. Innocent Kagua, very, very great guy. You're still